Here we go. Hey, I'm Krista Wax. You are listening to MSP Sound on KFAI, and I have Mother Banjo here with me right now. Hey.
Hi, Krista. So nice to be with you.
Nice to be with you too. Another KFAIer, Ellen, host of Womenfolk. You can find Tuesdays, 4 to 6. How are you?
I am great. Things are crazy per usual, but all things considered, doing pretty well. And I've been really enjoying getting to hear your show a lot more. And I do feel like during this past year, staying connected with people through the radio, even though we don't get to see each other at shows like we would normally cross paths at maybe gigs in town. Getting to hear each other's shows and interviews and stuff makes me feel a little more connected to you and to the whole Twin Cities community. So thank you for all that you're doing promoting local artists.
Oh my gosh. Well, thank you. You too. I love that we're just both on, we're actually on the same day. Very different times.
Yeah.
Different vibes.
4 to 6 p.m., but just to clarify, not 4 to 6 a.m.
Very good point. Yeah.
So I'm usually listening on the archives, but every once in a while I'm like, oh, I'm up. I can actually listen to Krista live. And actually one time I was listening when you were playing Eyes on the Sky for my latest record. And I was like, that's really weird. How did she know I was up?
I know everything. I can see into the future.
Wow. So you're connected to the like weird Alexa that's like listening in my house or whatever?
Maybe just like a small portion, maybe a small corner.
Just
not
tuned
the
into the local music scene, right? Just so you can have your feelers out as to what's going on.
My spidey sense, my local music spidey sense is always kicking into high gear.
I love it.
Well, Mother Banjo, I have you here because you have an actual gig.
I have an actual gig. And when I say an actual gig, I don't mean another live stream, although I've loved doing those. But I've not played a full band in-person show for well over a year, as is the case with most people. But we have one coming up on Friday, May 7th at Palmer's Bar. So right up here on the West Bank of Minneapolis, legendary venue. And if you've been to Palmer's, you know that it's a legendary kind of lovely dusty bar, but you might not know that they have an amazing patio out back. And I've heard they've kind of beefed it up a little bit more because they're doing all these outdoor shows throughout May and the summertime. And we're doing Friday, May 7th. And my set is so nice and early. One of the positive changes of the pandemic, I think, is that artists have gotten to choose what times they play their shows when they're doing live streams. You know, they're going to do it at a time they want, whether it's like 1 p.m. or 7 or so I think artists have gotten used to playing shows at more reasonable times instead of like 11 p.m. on a Tuesday night. Anyway, but this show is nice and early. It's 7 to 10, and my band plays first, and then Ben Cookfelt, so I know you've had on the show, and then Doug Collins, the receptionist. So 3 bands. We're all good friends, one of whom I live with. And we get to, all play together and hang out. So we're as excited to like see each other's bands because we haven't done that. We haven't seen other people's shows either, let alone play our own gigs. And it's all outdoors and limited capacity. So limited tickets. So it should be safe, even if you haven't had a vaccine yet or whatever. So, I'm really, really excited and kind of nervous, like, I hope I remember how to do this stuff. I remember how to play, but can I play with others? I don't know.
I know that would make me a little nervous. Yeah. Are you doing like rehearsals or are y'all just going in hot?
Oh, we're definitely gonna play beforehand.
That's good.
Well, I think we haven't figured out the time yet, but my guitar player who lives right in my neighborhood, last summer he did a few kind of driveway shows for his neighbors. We didn't publicize it because we didn't want too many people coming, but it was more just for funsies. But the neighbors were really appreciative and it was really fun. And so we did a few of those shows last summer. So we're going to do one of those kind of as a warm-up gig.
Okay. Very nice.
to run through some tunes. So I'm not sure when that will be, but it'll be sometime in the next couple weeks when the weather's looking good, since it's all outdoors.
Yes. Well, that is so exciting. It's so fun to talk about an actual live show. I used to pride myself on being just a walking local music calendar where
Mm-hmm.
I could just rattle off every single show, that multiple shows in an evening. I would map out my nights. And now I think I struggled I don't remember what show I was talking about, but I couldn't even talk. I was like, I can't even talk about promoting a gig. I forgot how to even say so and so. I'm like, it's an event in person.
You have to buy tickets?
Yeah, I know.
What?
You have to leave your house. You have to dress up. Not dress up. You just have to get dressed.
But you have to wear pants
You have to
or
wear
something.
pants. Yeah, something
Some
appropriate.
kind of clothing. Yeah. It's true. I do have to think about, I'm like, do I have clothes I can wear that I still fit into? I don't know.
That's the next thing. I know.
I only need one outfit though, right? I only need one
Yeah.
good outfit for this show anyway. So
Yeah, just one just to get you through it. I know, because that's what I'm thinking too. Like these shows are starting up soon, and I am getting into the Krista's non-fashion fashion corner. Oh my gosh, what do I wear? What do I wear when I go out? What jeans? Can I wear my leggings?
yeah, I think fashion's forever changed after the pandemic. That's my theory. I don't know. I'm no fashion guru either at all, but I'm maybe it's just me being hopeful, but I do think that fashion is going to be forever changed, at least for a while, because yeah, people are used to comfort, and I think that's going to still. People are now like, why did I do all that stuff?
I know. I know.
What's more important is hanging out with people and seeing the live music. I think our priorities have shifted a little bit, which that part is not a bad thing, I think.
Not at all. Well, I'm so excited for you. And I think that sounds incredible at Palmer's Bar. Nice, socially distant, limited tickets. People that you know, you're performing with one that you live with, as you mentioned.
Yeah, no, it's exciting because, Ben Cookfeld's my husband. Again, his band is playing. He also plays in my band. And so we've gotten to play a little bit during the pandemic. We do have a son who's almost 2. So obviously it doesn't always work out for us to even do live streams together, but because one of us sometimes has to be tending to him. But it has been really nice, at least having one of my bandmates be available to play with, even if it's not on a regular basis. But it is nice to have that. But I really miss the rest of my band because it's been so long, and yeah, I just I miss my guys. So
yeah, that'll be really exciting. We were talking before we got started about one of my favorite shows seeing you perform was at your album release show for Eyes on the Sky with Vicki Emerson at Hook and Ladder. That was so fun. I mean, I just really cherish those live show moments, especially now. And I love reminiscing with the artists who I've seen and say, do you remember that show?
That was a really fun show. I think Haley Rydell played in between the sets on the small stage too. And then, but yeah, we had a lot of special guests and got to sing with each other. And Vicky's been a longtime friend. And we've actually done 2 album release shows. We did one at the Dakota several years back, and then we did the Hook and Ladder one. And that was a really special night. And what most people did not know that night was that I was, a couple months pregnant at the time. So wow. It was like a big night, and I was feeling big, but no one knew that. So it was an interesting time. But yeah, that's the funny thing about the timing of the pandemic. For me personally, was a little strange because I had my son in May of 2019, and I put out my album just like nationally a couple months before that. It was my big national release for that. I released it locally with a show the fall previous, but in a way it was just released in like March of 2019. Then I had my baby, and then early, like a month early. So wow. Then and so then I was on maternity leave, so I didn't have any shows until that following August. So I was just kind of getting back into playing when the pandemic hit. So it was a little weird because sometimes in my mind, I still feel like Eyes on the Sky is new because I never really got to tour it. And I played, some local shows, but I had my big release show, but I do feel like there are a lot of places I didn't get to play that I would normally play. So I keep calling it new, but I guess it's it's not like 2 years, a year and a half, it's been a while, but it still feels kind of new. I think the only bonus to the timing of it for me personally was just that I was already used to staying home because of the baby, that I kind of was trained for the pandemic of not going out. Like I was already like not missing a lot of shows, I mean, like I played my own shows here and there, but I wasn't going to see my friends' shows as much as a fan. And so at least I knew how to stay home and do that.
Some good prep work.
Yeah, it's kind of like a trial run. and not having a life, but of course it just makes me doubly miss people because it's been so long since I've seen people, it feels like.
I do think Eyes on the Sky it does feel like that just came out last year or something.
Good.
I was thinking it's still new. Yeah.
Awesome. We'll just keep calling it new.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I have written some new songs, but yeah, I feel like unlike some people who've like found it a really fruitful time to like record and write. I did write a few songs, but I don't feel like they're in any state to record yet or even do demos of. So I think it will be a little while, but for me, I've actually felt so busy during this time. Again, maybe it's because of that prep work I had. I was like, I know how to be at home and keep myself busy. So I feel like I kind of wish I had a little more time, but that's life, and life with a toddler too, I guess.
Sure. But yeah, you have been like you would you have your weekly radio show. You've been doing live streams.
Mm-hmm.
And let's talk about back catalog listening party because that's something that came from like during the pandemic, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Again, in the beginning, it was like, oh, this is going to be a fun distraction for like a couple months while we're at home. So my friend Anthony Ehrig, I don't know if you've had him on the show, but if not, you should. He's amazing. He's my favorite banjo player in town, favorite bluegrass banjo player in town, and he plays with a band called the High 48s. They used to do their bluegrass brunch at the Astor every week, and award-winning band. Anyway, Tony's been a longtime friend, and we've done some shows together, and great songwriter as well as banjo player. And he reached out to me like it was probably like a week or two into the shutdown last March. And he said, I have this idea for this kind of online listening party, kind of like, we used to get together and like listen to records at someone's house. And, like that would be really fun right now. He's like, mainly I just miss, my friends. I miss like talking with artists, and he was talking specifically, he was thinking about the bluegrass brunch he and his bandmates used to do at the Astor, and of course, which had been canceled because of the shutdown. And he said, I don't just miss playing the shows with my band, but I miss all the conversations that happen with the all the regulars and the people at the bar, working the bar, and it's like the whole community of people, and those relationships that you don't realize how meaningful they are because they might not be close friends, but they're your people, you see them a lot. And sort of like when you were talking about seeing the show at the Hook and Ladder, I mean, yeah, those are memorable things, for all of us, not just for the fans, but for the musicians. Like we miss those folks. And so anyway, so Tony had this idea, and I was like, and he's like, do you want to host it with me? And I said, well, yeah, that sounds like fun. And again, I think we thought it might just be kind of a lark. We'd do it for a few weeks or a month or two. And, when things settle down, we stop, but it really took off. Like we started just doing it with local artists, friends of ours that we knew, like the Rowe Family Singers. And we had we started with a bang because the next week we had Adam Levy. So, and then we had Dakota Dave Hall. So who used to be a KFAI DJ as well. And we had a whole bunch of great all-star artists from Minnesota. And then we were like, well, we don't have to just keep it to Minnesota, like we'll always have Minnesota artists on. But so then we started inviting kind of national acts, some of my favorite songwriters, people who've been on Womenfolk or people I just know nationally. And so now we've had a lot of Grammy nominated acts, and yeah, kind of like our favorite artists. We just keep asking and people say yes. So it's been great. So the basic premise of the show, for folks who haven't checked it out, it's called the Back Catalog Listening Party. And as the name suggests, we revisit old records. So it's not about talking about the new project, which is what, I like to do on Womenfolk and what you do, Krista, on your show. And it's so valuable for artists. But, all these artists, especially during the pandemic, we realized that there's all this recorded music that's already out there, right? Artists put their money and soul and time into creating these beautiful projects, and they get a lot of attention when they're first released, but then they kind of get shelved. It's like, okay, what's the next new thing? And a lot of, speaking for myself at least, I have quite a few CDs just sitting, in the closet of, from older albums. And so it's kind of, and no one asks you about them, So it's kind of, the premise was we'd invite an artist on, they pick an old record of theirs, and then they pick 4 to 5 tracks, and then we just listen to them together online. So we started it on Facebook, now it's on YouTube. And just we gather online, they join us remotely from wherever they are, which is the other reason why we can do it with people from anywhere in the world. And then we just kind of dig into the songs, and the live component is really big because people come in and ask questions in the comments, and we answer the questions live in real time, and we listen to the whole songs in real time together. So literally during the YouTube thing, you'll see our faces on the side of the screen. We're listening just like along with the rest of the people. And so what's cool is you get to see the artists' reactions to hearing their old music, because most artists don't listen to their old records, right? So they might not have heard it in 20 years, and then they're reacting to hearing like something they'd forgotten about, or it brings back memories of recording the record. And so we talk about the process, the writing of the songs, wherever the conversation leads us. But it's been so much fun, both the content and reconnecting with people and the community that's developed around the show. So we have a lot of regulars who attend every show. And then of course, every artist brings in their own fans and friends to the party. And it really is a party. We call it a musical happy hour. So like it's Friday at 4 p.m. Central. So we gather with drinks, we cheers each other. We talk about what we're enjoying on our Friday and talk about our week. And it's just been a delight. It's like the highlight of every week.
I'm sure that sounds like so much fun. What a great concept and a great idea. And very few things that we can say, oh, thank goodness that the pandemic happened so we can do that. But that
just
is
to be clear, we would still have been happier if we never had the pandemic.
Right.
But
good point. Good
you're
point.
Right. It did start out as a coping mechanism though, and now we're well over past a year. We just finished our 55th episode last week, and we're going strong. We now have a Patreon so people can support it, because people were just to invest in like the platform. We now have like a real website, and but one of the cool things we do is we do like for our Patreon supporters is like we do like after parties where the artist hangs on a Zoom after the live show, and people can like have more personal experience and talk with the artist like face to face or screen to screen. We do private live streams and stuff like that. So it's been really fun doing that. And I'm excited about these next few weeks actually, because we have a bunch of Minnesota artists coming up. So let's see, we have Adam Kiesling, who is in Corpse Reviver and it's been a ton of old timey bands. He's coming up. I think that's this week. We had Morrison McCumber last week. And then we have Sarah Morris coming up, who I know you just had on the show recently. So yeah, we have a lot of great stuff coming up. So folks can check it out at backcataloglisteningparty.com, or they can subscribe to our YouTube channel or find us on Facebook. But yeah, it's been a lot of fun. So hopefully you, Krista, I know it's not, it's different kind of party than your late night party here on MSP Sound, but this is a little more tame. It's at 4 p.m. on a Friday. But sometimes things get a little crazy. We did do a kids happy hour once, though, a family friendly one with the Okie Dokie brothers, which was super fun. And we had there were a bunch of kids who were asking questions, you know, often by proxy, their parents were typing the questions, but it was very fun.
What a great time. Was there any artist who was, I don't know, just listening to their own music and was just either more amazed by what they did or horrified? I don't know.
All of the above. I would say there's people who are like you, because you have the cringe moment, you know, although probably if they picked it, they probably, I think, yes, I've witnessed artists be like, oh, I'd forgotten I did that, you know. but or that's dated or whatever. But for the most part, I think people are surprised by their own things. It's not all good or bad. It's more just like, oh, yeah, that was pretty good. But usually they're sharing more memories, or they just forgot something was recorded a certain way, because, you know, they might be a song they play all the time live, but they haven't heard their record in a while, and they're like, oh yeah, this song has changed a lot over the years, you know, or I'd forgotten I used to play it that way, or, you know, that we chose to record it that way. So that happens a lot, like probably every show almost. But in terms of people who are like really excited, I think one of my favorites for that was Jonathan Brooke. And I don't know if you've had her on the show. She's, you know, had a big national career for few decades, but she now lives in the Twin Cities, and she joined us, and she was awesome. I mean, great guest in general, but during the songs, she was like dancing, and like, she was like, oh, I forgot about this part. Like, she was so excited. So that was pretty cool. That was really, really entertaining. Davina was a great guest, Davina and the Vagabonds. And we've had so many great ones. And I'm trying to think, there was another one recently where we were joking that Tony and I were joking that it was like, they kind of gave Jonathan a run for their money, and that someone who was dancing a lot, you know, to the music. And I can't remember who that was, but yeah. But I'd say more often than not, people are just surprised. It's not even good or bad. They're just, okay. Oh, I've forgotten that. So it's just really delightful. And then also just to dig into the process of recording, like we get to geek out a little bit and find out like how they recorded the album. Like these days, people often, if they're just getting, you know, digital downloads or streaming music, you often don't get the liner notes at all of, you know, where they recorded or who played on each track. But even if you have that, like even if you have like a CD or LP, or you have the liner notes somehow, you still don't know like actually how they recorded it. Like, were they all in a room together? Were they living together in a barn for a week? You know, or did they record it over the course of like a whole year, you know, or a couple years, you know? So those are the kinds of details that you don't always get. The guests also share sometimes photos or videos from that time period too. So like, and those we catalog those on our website if we have permission to keep them beyond the show. So yeah, you can see like when we had Dar Williams on a few weeks ago, who's one of my favorite songwriters. She had this amazing all-star band that played on her album that came out in 2000 called The Green World, and her bass player was Gail Ann Dorsey, who like played with Bowie, and you know, like big. She's amazing bass player. Anyway, but there's this hilarious story of her and one of the other band members, where like, or there's a photo of him. For some reason, it was some joke, and I don't know how it started, but where one of the band members was joking about wanting to shave Gail Ann Dorsey's legs, and they got a photo of her, and she was like, oh, sure, okay, and like, so like Dar showed the photo on the back catalog listening party, like during the event, and it was super funny. So again, you kind of never know what weird stories will come out, you know.
Oh my gosh.
So I love that. And probably the most moving episode we've done so far was the tribute to Peter Ostroushko, who left, you know, was such a big part of our Twin Cities community, and he passed away. What was it, February now? I can't remember the date. But we did a tribute show to him because he was someone we had wanted to have on the show. We never had the opportunity. And so we invited people who were involved in that, in his recording Heart of the Heartland, which was such an epic recording. It was used, parts of the songs were used in the Ken Burns documentary and in other, kind of an epic recording. And so we chose that album and we invited people who recorded on the album to be a part of that show and share their memories. And his family was like there listening. And it was just, and all these like Twin Cities musicians showed up and shared their memories. And it was just like, felt like everything we want to do for why we do the show was in this episode magnified times 20, because it was just, the community enjoying the music, honoring the artist. And that's really what it's all about. Cause we don't get paid for this. We just sort of like being on KFAI. You do it because you love it.
Exactly.
And to keep us out of trouble. That's pretty much what it is.
I know. Yeah, I'm thrilled to be doing the show. That was one good distraction during the whole pandemic.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah, for sure. And we've all gotten to learn how to, create our own studios at home. So we've all learned a lot during this time, right?
Absolutely. And I'm going to give you a little credit, Ellen, because you helped me with Zoom, which turned out to be 1,000 times easier than I thought it would be. And you were so kind. And you pretty much were like, you just hit record. That's all you got to do.
Yeah.
Like, are you kidding? That's it.
Like everything else, you learn some things when you do it, but and I don't feel like I've perfected either because I do all my interviews via Zoom for Womenfolk as well. And but yeah, I feel like during this pandemic, the only way to get through it is by us all like helping each other and holding each other's virtual hands as we try out this technology because I don't know. Did you find in the early part of the pandemic, like when people were just doing live streams from their home, like even like big artists, that you're like, it made you feel better that you're like, oh, they don't know what they're doing either. Because they're used to having a whole crew of people, like, and a sound person and oh, they're just playing their guitar in front of their iPhone like the rest of us. Like now people have invested in more like equipment and and maybe have beefed up their skills or paying other people to help them. But like, I feel like in the beginning, it was just like, it was like the Wild West. Like no one knew.
It was. Everything was crazy and no one knew what they were doing. People were on mute. Some of us still have problems with mute.
Well, we were talking before I came on here that about how like we still haven't figured out like the mirror image thing. Yeah. Like someone says something's on, like, oh, it's right here. You're like,
where's the thing on my face?
How do I fix my hair? I don't know. So my solution was just to get rid of my face off the screen altogether because it's too distracting. So I don't know what I look like, and I'm sorry to those of you watching us on YouTube. I have no idea.
You look lovely. You look.
Oh, thank you. I'm used to radio where no one cares what you look like.
I know. That's one of the downfalls of this whole time too. Is like now our face is out there a little bit more, but that's okay.
That's okay. But I get the upside is I get to see your face, so that's the good part.
I don't know about that, but that's very nice. I'll take it. Oh my gosh, Alan, you're so busy during this time. I love it. Just keeping up with things and
yeah. And I try. I feel like there are some times when I'm like, it's funny. It feels like a big pendulum swing though, because sometimes like I'm definitely busy a lot, but then you find yourself like, oh, I actually don't have anything to do now. And then it sets in that you really have nothing to do. And you're like, okay, time to start a new Netflix series.
I know. It's like, yeah, I haven't done a whole lot during the pandemic. I feel like I've been busy, but like this past weekend, I got together with a couple friends like Saturday and Sunday. And then it's like, we weren't gone that long, but then it's like, I came back. I'm like, now what do I do? What do I normally do? Now what? What do I do?
I think that's part of it is you get a taste of like what it's like to be out and about with people, and then you're like, being on my couch doesn't seem as cool as it did.
Exactly. Because normally I just sit on the couch all weekend and it's not like I don't think anything of it, but I was really a little put off where I was like, hmm.
Well, I have a question for you. Do you find that you listen to music in a different way during the pandemic? Like, I know you probably listen to stuff for your radio show like I do, but do you find like if you're just do you listen to music in a different way? Like, are you listening to more like of your old favorites? Are you like listening to music more when you like going for a walk or when you're doing stuff around the house? Or are you not even wanting to listen to music outside of your show? I'm just curious because everyone seems to have I feel like everyone's listening habits have changed and they've all changed in different ways, you know?
That's a really great question. And yes, I have found myself listening to just like a lot of 90s music,
Mm-hmm.
some 80s.
Like nostalgia music.
Yes, like
Yeah.
nice comfort pop, R&B, rock, whatever. If I go for a walk, sometimes I don't have my headphones on, but
Yeah.
sometimes I do like having a good pop song.
Yeah. See, I feel like I've gone back to some of my old faves. I mean, I definitely listen to new music because I do for my radio show, but I feel like, yeah, I've been taking a lot of comfort in like old albums, which I think is why the back catalog listening party feels like appropriate now too, is like, it's kind of great. Like a lot of us have these albums. So like sometimes we're talking with a guest and I actually have the record, but I haven't heard it in so long. So like talking with the guest on back catalog, I'm like, yeah, I gotta dig out that CD, or, I don't know. I think it's kind of cool. It reminds you of these great things that are out there. And again, what else are we gonna do? Because we can't see the live shows. It's like, let's listen to these records together. So I think it's kind of fun. And I found it very inspiring for me as an artist, not just as a fan, that I don't know, getting to hear these old records makes me want to make music, which is cool.
Good. Yes, that's good. Yeah, it's great to see, how, I mean, yeah, I've had a lot of artists on over the past couple months, just seeing how everyone's kind of dealing with this time and, either putting out new music or shows coming up or like last week I had Maddie from Fogene on who's like, I've been sitting on, his album is do it yourself from like 10 years ago. He's
Mhm.
like, I recorded this 10 years ago. I just never put it out. I'm like, what? Okay, great. Well, you were ahead of the time. You're like way ahead of COVID and the
Yeah.
DIY record making time. And then like now he has new music that wants to come out after. But that was I was really surprised because I assumed, okay, you made this during this time. Oh, you didn't. Okay, great. It's still new music.
Yeah, exactly. Well, that's the other thing some people have time for is like just to get things in order. Like, I feel like are often so crazy playing gigs and rehearsing and, you know, wrangling your family or another job or whatever it is. And I feel like now it's like a lot people have more time. So they're like, well, I'm not playing those shows. So how else can I fill my time? And a lot of artists are, yeah, digging back through either old songs or rewriting stuff or finding those old recordings and seeing what you can do with them. Like definitely have some songs that I wrote maybe a few years ago and they haven't ended up on a project yet. But I'm like, oh yeah, I guess I could work on those. Hasn't happened yet.
You have plenty of time. You're very busy.
Yeah. So, well, that's the thing. And then you find something fun to work on. It's like, it's like squirrel. Okay, I'm gonna work on this. So that catalog has been my squirrel, if you will.
Sounds like a fun squirrel.
Yeah. No, that part's been really great. But yeah, I'm really looking forward to playing again. And I have some other summer and I have things through the fall that are booked, but it's like you're like easing back into it, it's like a show a month or something, 1 to 2 shows, like that seems about right. I don't need to do a lot more right now.
Right. They're like baby steps, like just
Yeah,
take it easy. Yeah.
exactly.
Everyone wants to get back out there, so it's all right. Like everyone can just ease into it.
It'll happen. Well, that's the other thing is that it's funny how I've already sort of witnessed the sort of mad dash for gigs, now that they're starting to happen. Like, and I totally get it. And especially artists where like, you know, a lot of artists who've been out of work and, you know, really need the income and stuff. But yeah, I'm like, I don't feel a need to do as many, you know, because I have some other work, and I don't need to do it for that reason. I just miss performing. But yeah, I do feel like one thing that was really one other positive. We know about all the negatives, so we don't need to talk about those. But one positive was like there was kind of a renewed, really strong support. There's always been a great supportive local music community, but I do feel like everyone was in the same spot of like not being able to play, and it was kind of an equalizing thing for people. There wasn't as much of a competition or like clickiness, or you know, it was just like everyone was like, yeah, I'm in the same boat, you know, and everyone's like, I don't know, I think I hope that more of that sticks around, you know, as we get back to playing more shows, you know, that artists know that it's better when we will support each other, you know, as opposed to thinking of everything as a finite piece of pie. It's like where it's like, I need the biggest slice of the pie. And it's like, no, we just need a bigger pie.
Yeah.
Maybe that's my COVID baking metaphor of the day. You know, more pie.
I love it.
That's my new pandemic slogan. More pie.
That's my favorite.
Followed by stretchy pants.
Yeah. Absolutely. Two great things.
Yes. 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 We need both of those things.
Oh my gosh. Well, Mother Banjo, Ellen, thank you so much for joining me. And
this has been so much fun.
yes, I know. I feel like we've been in contact a lot, but we haven't talked like this. And this is great.
I know. Well, you know, and even pre-COVID, our shows we never got to really, well, every once in a while we did see each other at the station. Sometimes you were prepping your show, but like, you know, we don't get to cross paths enough.
No.
So I'll fix that in the coming year when we get out there seeing shows and stuff. But I did want to let folks know that if they want tickets to that, the May 7th show, again, that's the Mother Banjo Band, Ben Cookfeld's band, and Doug Collins and the Receptionists, 3 great local bands. It's going to be Friday, May 7th, and tickets are available at palmersbar.net. And also, if you go to any of our websites or socials, you will find it. But I hope people come out for that because, again, it'll be super fun. And tickets are going fast. So,
get those tickets.
Yes.
The show, and tune in to Ellen's back catalog listening party every Friday at 4. Oh, and Womenfolk Tuesday at 4. Oh my gosh, you're like
4. It's always at 4 p.m. apparently.
That's your sweet spot. That's your
4 p.m. somewhere.
Yeah.
And yeah, and I will say that Womenfolk, in addition to being on KFAI every Tuesday at 4, it also rebroadcasts on Sunday nights on folkmusicnotebook.com, which is a 24-hour folk streaming service, which brings in DJs from all across North America. So Womenfolk is featured there too. So lots of ways to access the show. But mainly I just want everyone to support women artists because we need more of that.
Absolutely. Agreed. Oh, so good to see you. Thank you so much for coming on the show.
Oh, so great to see you. And thank you for having me on, and great to see your face. And I can't, maybe I'll see you on May 7th.
I'm going to get my